Lucas, are you sure you need to borrow that much money? My mother's voice was soft, but sharp enough to cut through the air. She held a glass of champagne, the golden light glinting against her red nails. Across the table, my father smiled politely, the kind of smile that hides rehearsed cruelty. The Rivera family's private dining hall shimmered with crystal light, expensive perfume, and quiet judgment. It was my 28th birthday, but it didn't feel like a celebration. It felt like a setup. "I just need some capital," I said carefully. "The company downsized and I got laid off." My father gave a slow nod, like I'd just reported the weather. "Life's tough, son. You'll manage." Then came the voice that silenced the room. "Lucas," said my grandfather, Robert Rivera, "tell me, how are you planning to use your entrepreneurship fund?" The words hit like glass shattering. The air froze. Entrepreneurship fund? I looked around. My parents' smile stiffened. My fork slipped. I never heard of such a thing. The crystal chandeliers flickered as if in sync with my pulse. And for the first time that night, I realized this wasn't a birthday dinner. It was a trial. I'm Lucas Rivera, and I've lived alone in Los Angeles for 3 years. By day, I worked as a UX designer at a small tech startup. By night, I climbed to the rooftop of my shared apartment to shoot cityscapes, neon lights, misty alleys, stories hidden in glass reflections. Rent, bills, camera gear, every dollar had a stretch. But it was mine. That tiny apartment on a cracked downtown street was my world. My parents, Gabriel and Isabella Rivera, lived in Beverly Hills, a mansion with a private chef and a driveway lined with luxury cars. Our calls were short, polite, and hollow. "How's the weather? Still going to the gym? Never once? Are you okay?" When the company laid me off last month, my roommate Maya handed me a beer and said, "Your parents will help you out, right?" I laughed. "They'll probably send me a link to a budgeting app." That night, I sat by the window, the hum of traffic filling the silence. My phone screen stayed black. I realized real support never calls first. The week before my birthday, sleep became a stranger. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that dining room again. The candles, the glint of wine glasses, the look in my grandfather's eyes. I imagined walking in, facing my parents' perfect smiles, pretending everything was fine. Maya knocked gently. "Lucas, you've been staring at that screen for hours." "I can't stop thinking," I muttered. "That dinner, it's going to be another performance." "You don't have to go," she said softly. I smiled bitterly. In my family, skipping a dinner is blasphemy. Friday night, I walked alone down Sunset Boulevard. Neon lights flickered off wet asphalt. My hands were buried deep in my jacket pockets, feeling the last $200 in my wallet. It wasn't much, but it was all mine. Atelier Rivera sat in a glass building downtown. Gold trims, polished marble floors, waiters who moved like shadows. My mother greeted me first, wrapped in crimson silk. "Happy birthday, darling," she said, voice sweet and sharp. My father nodded. "You look tired. Busy with work." "I lost my job," I replied. He smiled. "That's life." Then came Grandfather Robert. Tall, silver-haired, eyes like steel and warmth mixed together. "Happy birthday, Lucas," he said, and hugged me. It was the only genuine touch that night. He raised his glass. "Lucas, how do you plan to handle your $3 million startup fund?" The words sliced through the laughter. $3 million. Dollar. I froze. The room went silent. Even the waiters stopped moving. My parents' expressions flickered between shock and panic. And I knew the truth was about to surface. 2 days later, I sat in my grandfather's office, all mahogany and silence. Outside, the LA skyline glowed against the Pacific horizon. Across from me sat my parents. Between us, a lawyer named Michael Evans laid out a thick stack of papers. Page after page listed transactions. $250,000 for luxury vacations. $180,000 for my father's sports cars. $400,000 for my mother's art investments. $600,000 for home renovations and pool upgrades. $70,000 for education. $3 million. Only $150,000 left. My hands trembled. This, I whispered, was my fund. My father's jaw tightened. Lucas, we were managing it. For your future. My mother's eyes filled with tears. Sweetheart, it was all for you. For me? I cut her off. Stealing is for me. Don't use that word, my father snapped, his voice rising. It was an investment. My mother sobbed. You don't understand the pressure we've been under. Grandfather's voice was calm, but final. Lucas, the law is on your side. The air turned heavy. My parents' faces twisted. Fear, guilt, disbelief. And in their silence, I found my clarity. The next 2 weeks moved like a storm. I worked with lawyers, froze accounts, and traced every stolen dollar. The calls started coming. Lucas, my father shouted through the phone. You're ruining us. My mother cried on voicemail. Why are you doing this to us? We're your parents. I stayed silent. At the press conference, they tried to act composed. Gabriel talking about family misunderstanding. Isabella clutching tissues, whispering, he's still our son. But every frozen asset, every seized car, every lawsuit notice wasn't revenge. It was balance. Grandfather placed a hand on my shoulder. You did what had to be done, he said. I nodded. For the first time, I'm living my own life. And when the final court order came, watching their names fade from ownership records, I felt nothing but peace. Months later, I moved into a small apartment overlooking the San Francisco Bay. Morning sunlight spilled over my desk, onto my camera and laptop. I started freelancing again, photography, design, anything that built something real. Maya visited one weekend, bringing takeout and laughter. You seem lighter, she said. I am, I smiled. For the first time in years. Grandfather called sometimes, voice warm. If you ever need help, I'm here. I know, I said, but I think I've got this. Standing on a balcony, I watched the fog roll over the Golden Gate. Blood ties fade. Integrity stays. That night, I walked through the quiet streets of the Marina District. Streetlights reflected off the wet pavement. I thought about everything. The betrayal, the lies, the silence that used to choke me. And then the voice that had guided me through it all came again, through the phone. Lucas, my grandfather said, you always had the strength. You just needed proof. I looked up at the fog-covered sky. Yes, I whispered. I finally belonged to myself. The story ended. But my life, my real life, had just begun.